the recycling of thermoplastics, some issues and solutions. I'm very happy to introduce Dr. Mathew, who is the academic leader in polymer technology at the London Metropolitan Polymer Centre. And he has experience in polymer physics and product design, and is involved in industrial research and development projects, and has spent 15 years working with recycling issues. So, over to you, Mathew. We're just getting your presentation.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you, Colin, as well, for that introduction to education and polymers as well. I won't talk about the educational side, but we've got a stand here, which is in Hall 12, A05, which is more about our courses there. My brief is actually to talk about recycling, and so that's what I'm going to try and do. I talk about recycling. It's a big area, of course. It's something that's growing. It's chaotic as well, so you can't cover everything in a short session like this. Well, as I mentioned, the word chaotic, I think waste generation is a problem in many ways. By definition, waste is something that's rejected, and rejection doesn't happen in a structured form. So we have problems with organizing something which is necessary, which is trying not to be organized. Waste collection, on the other hand, is often opportunistic, and has been for a long time. Recycling is not a new issue. It's been going on from the beginning of time. But what we have is, of course, the problem of generation of waste has overtaken the problem of accumulation of the positives from the waste. So we've got a problem with dealing with waste, which is modern waste, which is less likely to decay and so on. But the key here is, of course, it's an expression which comes from Yorkshire, where there's not less grass. And there's money to be made here, so that's why people get involved in recycling. Successful solutions exist. Quite a significant amount of waste is recycled. But what actually happens is when you choose what you want to recycle, then you leave yourself a bigger mess to clear. So the recycling problem, or waste management problem, becomes more difficult. Now, one of our solutions in the West, of course, is to send the waste around the world. We don't call it waste, we call it its resource. And of course, we can see this picture here, which is from a local newspaper, which was very critical of the British way of doing things from a year or two ago. We do send products all over the world. The reason being, it's economic, of course. It is just expensive to be able to manage the problem. And the legislation also makes it important for manufacturers to find solutions. Hence, again, this particular solution. I won't go through the details here. Let's go on. Successful recycling involves setting up an infrastructure. There are three phases I would propose. First of all, there is the going from the generator of the waste through to the person who wants the material. Now, this might be a local council, but more often than that, it's another body which has got a purpose for collecting, either because they've been paid to do it by government, or because they can see a market at the end. So then there's the buyer of material to the processor, the conversion stage, which you go through, and then from the processor to the new market itself. And each of these has got its own problems, and the key to it is, of course, to minimize the number of problems, and also to make sure that the costs involved, be materials, energy, or financial, are minimized as well. First of all, the generator waste to buyer of materials, the collector. Collection is not straightforward. Now, we think of many different types of waste. Of course, we've got industrial waste, which has been collected efficiently and effectively. Companies have been recycling for a long time. Polymer industry has talked about the fact that they were recycling well over 90% of their materials back in the 90s when this became an issue. But it was that most of that is internally generated waste, which is very clean and easy to recycle. But the real problem for us, of course, is waste that's generated through us as ordinary citizens in the community. And that, of course, is the major problem. And where does it end up? Now, in the UK, we've got a lot of organized recycling facilities, and this is a picture from one of the organized recycling facilities. This is very chaotic. This, in fact, is one of the biggest shredders in the country. They take automotive waste and white goods. That's all they take. But you convince see, looking at this picture here, that there are others as well. The waste comes to the gates, and of course you can't send it away. But it is actually fairly well organized. Most of it is steels, but there's significant amount of plastics. This operation is very effective. They can deal with 120 cars an hour. I think that's what I think it was about 10 years ago. It may have become better than that now. So it is very efficient in these industries. First, these are the stages I proposed in the issues anyway in this first phase. You've got once you've collected your waste, even when it's organized and you've targeted the waste, you've got to sort. And once you've sorted, you've got to reduce the volume as much as possible, so compaction is important, and then you've got to make sure that the smaller parts of baling is important, which includes bringing in other materials, and then you've got to store it until you find a buyer. Well, this is the kind of situation you end up with if you're not careful. When the collection phase is more efficient than the second phase, of course, you end up accumulating. And there's a big problem in the UK back in about 5 years ago with fridges. And here's an example from a couple of years ago with TV monitors. As you know, we're all going towards digital TV, and there's a big mountain growing at the moment in the UK as people dispose of their old analog TVs. And there are markets for this. What do we do with these TVs? So, one of the problems is this, accumulation, and you need to store this material, and of course that costs money as well. So the problems are, this list here, you've got the cost involved in handling in all these stages. You've got technology. Do we know what to do with it? How to handle it? Manually sorting is all right, but it's not efficient, and it's expensive in the West, certainly. Technology will make things easier, and of course, hopefully, quality control will go up. It's the last thing there. Skills-based. Do we people know what to do with the waste anyway? I mean, do we have the technology? Do we have the ability in people to do something with the technology? Knowledge-based. Do we know what the materials that we collect are doing? How are they going to behave? How can we ensure that they are fit for purpose when it comes to the other end of the process? Quality control again. Examples of what we've looked at. If you take simple products, take a mobile phone, and here are the number of parts there are in the mobile phone. The external part, the internal body, and the additional bits like the battery and the support and so on. Each of those is an item which has a certain value, it weighs something, and has to be dealt with. And if you're a recycler and you're collecting this, then you're going to have to deal with things that you don't want to deal with because they've got to go somewhere. This is the recycling of a fridge, a small fridge. It took 2 hours to dismantle. It has 57 components. To identify all of them is not straightforward. So what do you do in that sort of case? Large amount of foam was found in this, as you find on the right-hand picture there. Second stage, developer, buyer of materials has to convert the material into a usable stream. Issues involved, there's some of the issues again, transport, taking the waste from where it's been accumulated through to where it's going to be converted. Then you've got to granulate it, you've got to clean it, dry it, package it, and then finally store it again. Now the process has to be efficient, which means you've got to be very careful about your organizing the whole process. And if you can get your waste material in a fairly organized, clean form, that reduces the total cost involved in the stage. Thirdly, the convert to the new market stage. The entrepreneur, what do you do with it? Again, you've got transporting, blending problems, processing the new products, and of course selling as well. Now, at this stage, what you need is information, and one thing I've not added here, of course,